Okay, good evening, everyone. My name's Anup Joshi, and I'm here to talk about the experience that we had this weekend. We spoke to a lot of stakeholders. We spoke to people involved with the police. We spoke to people involved with the fire service, the Open Knowledge Foundation, and Open Glasgow as well. And one of the recurring themes that we really seemed to see was that, you know, information and data is very much siloed between these organisations. There's not a lot of sharing that goes on. So part of our solution in looking at public safety is really trying to address this issue and trying to take this data and create rich data where there's sometimes only just single points of information and creating a data source that can be used and that can be quite effective. So what we've created is PRECOG. It's a data analysis and prediction engine which we use for public and also for public bodies as well. It takes advantage of shared and also open data. So how does PRECOG work? Well, basically what we're doing is we're using one of the Open Glasgow data sets, and using that information we're creating a heat map on a map. And using historical information, so the map that we have, we've taken 7 years of road incident information, and we've been trying to predict in the future what type of issues and crimes or other events might be taking place. We're using that information to correlate open and external information as well, and using a number of different APIs to show how exactly that works.
So we've made a quick prototype over the weekend. So what we did was we took the 2005 to 2012 road safety incidents that were provided by Open Glasgow, and we filtered through those. And we've looked at this from the eyes of someone that is in the proactive deployment planning, like the police or the ambulance forces, where they look at what could happen, where the incidents might be, and they position officers and units in ideal places to deter or quickly react to crimes. So if we could make a map of all the incidents of the last 7 years, in the 7-year period, and plot them on a graph on the roads where they occur, if we filter those by the likeliness of how relevant they are today, you know, what's changed since then, is this point still relative, and given it a more transparent, so it's not giving as much emphasis to the heat map. We've also added the severity of the crashes, so red squares are very, very severe, and blue are almost not severe, and no police officers were called to the situation. So we've ranked the information like that, and we've said, well, over the next 7 days, where am I going to put my officers to quickly and efficiently do their jobs? Go back. Sorry, can we go back to that? And so we've got the areas of heat where there's very opaque points that we predict by looking at the future data we have, you know, the weather data and knowledge of upcoming events where there'll be high traffic. And we've said, you know, these are the places where you could put your officers and really react to crimes based on this data. And we hope that everyone's got the same playing field to utilize this in business, such as car repairs and also in charities.
In terms of who is benefiting from this data, we're looking not just at public bodies, we're also looking at the public themselves and other organizations involved in any activity that is planned, essentially. So we're looking at predictive data. So the point here is that data, this is just maths, this is just statistics, this isn't rocket science, this isn't sci-fi, this is real, this is using predictive analysis to show what could happen and what might happen using available data sources. This does happen. This does happen amongst certain public agencies, public bodies, where there is funding, and this is a crucial thing. We've talked to a lot of the agencies here today throughout the weekend, so we talked to the police and the fire service, and all of them are saying that they're doing this, or they've started doing some level of this, with the data that they have within their own agency. They're not doing this with shared data. They're not doing this with public data. What we're suggesting is essentially open sourcing this project. This is already on GitHub. This is already available for our colleagues, our developer, people in the room to contribute to and to start basically working with us to make access to data, to make the data more valuable for any public body or any agency or anyone who wants to be able to predict any location-specific piece of data. I could talk to you more about the predictive capabilities.
Thank you, PRECOG.
If you ask about that.
Okay. Could we have the lights up, please? Judges, any questions?
Hi guys. Would you say is the difference between this and any of the other analytic solutions on the open market at the moment?
So the difference basically is that this doesn't cost a bombshell. This is open source, and it's as you probably know, you're part of the police, and you have an analyst looking at data already. Those analysts are going to spend a lot of time poring over that data, and the work of analysis is costly both in time and in the resources allocated to that. What we're suggesting is we get an open source project. So a lot of people are working on this. A lot of people interested in making public access to data better are working on this. So, and on top of that, we're pulling from lots of sources. So we're not just pulling from one set source. And those sources are always updating. So this is very relevant data. We're predicting what's going to happen next week based on data that we had from last week. And analysts can only work so fast. We're building a tool that works faster than they can.
Anyone else?
So are you guys all students, or are you working?
We're actually all developers.
Right.
We have different max backgrounds. You were divinity and maths.
Right.
I was a chemist and it was a lawyer.
Yeah, these
Lawyers rock.
These guys currently work for Flow, and they're forecasting cash flow for businesses, so they have some idea of forecasting.
We turned it to crime now.
Our idea is not actually turned.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Were you guys a team before Friday, or did you just come together on Friday?
Well, these guys knew each other, and we joined as a team.
I'm not a technical person at all, so I'm not still a wee bit unsure about who would use the data.
Okay.
What use would it be?
Okay. So in terms of how the data is generated, we're using lots of location-specific, basically any data set. So what we showed you very briefly was car crash data. I think another group had used that specific data set. We were looking at street crime data. We were also looking at things that it could be used for in terms of charities, perhaps charities working with homeless related issues, might look at housing data and look at eviction data perhaps. So basically we're working with any we're building the platform, we're agnostic to the data set, and the platform itself does a lot of the analysis and working out the statistical significance of how to map that.
Can I add something, please? Yeah. On the usability side, we kind of thought about it'd be nice to have like natural text language processing, so you could kind of just speak to it as in, you know, what might happen on Tuesday given these events, and you wouldn't have to kind of fiddle with configurations. Maybe it could learn eventually to understand what you mean.
Okay, any last questions? Thank you very much. PRECOG.